worried here.
Offensively, they seem to be doing really well against bad defenses, and defensively, they seem to be doing really poorly against bad offenses.
Get better.
Those are Hakeem Olajuwon numbers.
You're out of your mind. I cannot stand this team.
Welcome to Please Dunk Responsibly. I'm one of your hosts, Ben Rice from the Barley Me Podcast. With me as always, my co-host,
Bill Webster. It's a pleasure to be here as always. It's always fun.
All right, we're going to talk about some NBA basketball. As much as this podcast wants to get into the classic 80s, 90s basketball we grew up knowing and loving, the season did just start. It's a real thing. We've been talking about preseason stuff, but now it's been about a week and a half. Real basketball has happened, so I think we're going to talk about it because it's still exciting and new and weird.
Yes, so excited. Very, very weird how everything's kind of transpired, even more than the bubble, I think, and I'm really excited to talk about it. Yes.
Yeah, that shortened preseason has made games insane. It's so many blowouts. It's not even close. There's record-setting blowouts. It's great. But before we get into all that, I think every listener that we have wants to know what's really going on. Because at the end of the last episode, Phil, you said some very inflammatory things and then tried to pass it off as if we were ending the episode and it was no time for discussion. Can we play the clip?
Kevin Durant, how good is he really?
And we didn't have time to discuss it, and that was rude.
It turns out he's really good. Yeah, I think he took offense to that. He might have listened to the podcast and proceeded to show me how really good he is. He's been playing magical. Him and Kyrie. I don't trust Kyrie, but they've been playing great, and I appreciate that Kevin Durant is listening and taking it to heart. And he likes the trash talk. He likes the trash talk, I hear.
Yeah, so, I heard that first play, he threw in that dunk, and he's like, this one's for Phil. In your face, Phil. That's what he said as he dunked it. How
That's
good is
amazing.
he? I'm great.
Yeah, I'm great, by the way. How are you?
Yeah. How are you, Phil? How are you on the court these days, Phil?
Yeah, blowing out both of my knees. That's what I would be doing out on court right now.
Yeah.
That's why I'm behind this chair talking about it. Yeah, exactly. I had my heyday already.
Yeah, so turns out, how good is he really? Still a world destroyer. One of the most lethal scorers we've ever seen in the NBA. Can score on every level, can score in every way, plays great defense.
Yes.
Is getting better as a playmaker every year. Kevin Durant is
28 points a game already.
Do we dare put him in the top?
It's been, 5 games.
Do we dare put him in the top 5 all time, or is he still hanging out in the top 10 zone? That's like a question you have to ask.
Oh man, yes, I think it's top 10 still, but he's not. He's inching closer. I think it's not if he's a good scorer. It's more like, can he do it on his own? And I think that gets you in the top 5. Once you can do it on your own, you're top 5, no doubt.
Sorry, Charles Barkley. We loved watching old highlights of you, but you're not going to break it. It's so good, though.
No, so good. So good.
Then I also said something kind of rude on the last podcast. We were doing what we do for this podcast, which is compare players to beers. And you had asked about Steph Curry, and I made up a beer that didn't exist. And that's my fault. I remember back in 2012, I was watching the Thunder become what they were about to be and then never actually were. And I cracked this beer during the playoffs, and it was a Deschutes Hair of the Dog collaboration beer called Collage Number 1. And this is the most insane beer. It's a blend of 4 different beers. From Deschutes, you have the Dissident and the Stoic. And then
great beers.
And then from Hair of the Dog, you had Fred and Adam. So they're Adam beer, award-winning beer. And then the other ones are like Belgian styles. And then what they did is at least 6 months and at most a year in the following barrels: rye whiskey, cognac, sherry, Pinot Noir, bourbon, American oak, and Oregon oak. It was an insane feast for the senses, that beer.
That's a cornucopia of flavors. Yes, it's impossible to quantify.
It's what beer was building to, and Steph Curry is what basketball has been building to since David Stern took over and it's like, we're going to make this an entertainment sport. So apologies to Steph Curry for making it.
No, I think that's him for sure. That's a great thing because I think people still don't know how to quantify Curry because he's so great. He's a unanimous MVP somehow. None of it makes sense, but he keeps doing it, and he's great. I'm sure you'll describe it to me in a second.
Oh my God, dude. I couldn't even, I just spent the first half hour smelling it. I didn't even bother tasting it for like a half hour. I was like, this smells incredible. The next year I bought it again for the playoffs and it was totally worth it. Wonderful beer. Didn't hold up after like year 5. Year 5 was like kind of weird because it's got so many things going on. They're eventually going to just blend into a disgusting mess. So
yeah, and it's already been aged.
Yeah, exactly. It was like 3 years aged already to perfection. Honestly, the fresh out the bottle, first run, you didn't need to keep it any longer. Just drink it down.
Oh,
it was like it got out of college and into the pros, and it was ready to go. Steph Curry. And I see Phil,
yes,
that
undersized but ready to go.
Yeah, and I see, Phil, that you have picked up a glass of beer. And on this one, we agreed that we would drink a beer that we've been shit-talking since the dawn of this podcast. We decided we would on the air. Oh, my God,
the style of this beer.
Yeah, a milkshake IPA.
Yes.
What do we got for us, Phil?
Our first one to christen the show is Sherbet Shakes by Bike Dog Brewing Company. It has tangerine, key lime, raspberry, with lactose and conditioned with vanilla. This is the epitome of milkshakes. This is the styles that they go for. And let's have a taste and tell me what you think.
All right. So as we have talked about on the pod, milkshake IPAs are very popular styles, but also they are bastards of the industry. And some people don't like them at all, such as yourself and myself. We've compared them time and again to James Harden, Russell Westbrook type of players if you wanted to compare a beer. Oftentimes I don't like a milkshake IPA. So on this one, we agreed in advance that if we drank this beer and we hated it, we were allowed to double down on a spiteful thing we've said on this podcast. And if we like the beer, we have to admit when we were wrong on the podcast previously.
Oh, immediately. Yes, we do.
Now, the problem is this beer is Bike Dog. New brewer Kyle Letty from Moonraker, from New Glory, from American River knows his stuff. It's a sherbet style, and everybody's that I read was like, yeah, if you like sherbet ice cream, this is what this is. So that's what the basis is going to be. Does it taste like sherbet ice cream? And would it be a beer you would continue to drink throughout this episode?
It is two of those things. It is a sherbet beer. It tastes like it. It definitely is. Yeah, if you dropped a scoop of sherbet ice cream in a IPA, this is what it would taste like. I would still be upset if you did that to my beer. I am not a fan of this style of this particular beer, but it is exactly what it says. It is sweet. It is funky. It has got a little hop bite still. Mm-hmm. Which is uncharacteristic of IPA, milkshake IPAs. But yes, this is not my favorite beer that I've ever drank. But I will do it for the sake of this podcast and to continue to revel in the fact that this is a bastard style of IPA and it should never be called this. But cheers to that.
Cheers to that. So it looks like you get to double down on a thing that you've said that is spiteful, or you know, it could just be like a wild prediction that ended up being right, or it looks like it might be right, I guess.
No, I feel like we should, like, no matter how you feel about this one, I feel like now we have to, like, just continue down this road of trying different milkshake IPAs every now and then to refresh. Just to keep refreshing our memory. We're like, but what about this milkshake IPA, though? What about this peanut butter mocha one?
Right.
What about...
Right. Yeah. But do you have a thing you want to double down on?
Russell Westbrook equals milkshake IPA equals 0-5 Washington Wizards. Also, this beer is exactly what it says it is. It is delicious if you love that. I do not.
Okay, so I think we're on the same path here. I didn't even consider my actual opinion of it. I'm like, look, it says it's this, and it is this. I didn't even consider, do you like this? I'm just like, would you drink it? I'm like, well, I mean, I drank it, and I enjoyed that it was what it said it was. It wasn't like some garbage. Like, it's, of the milkshake IPAs I've had, top 3. Very good, comparatively. But, like you said, in reality, it just confirms that milkshake IPAs should not exist. If this is one of the best ones, good for it. But no. And you know what's funny is that if I liked this, I was going to say that we were wrong about the Westbrook trade. So even when we're wrong, we're right. but since I was right, I'm going to just double down on, hey, man, who's coming out of that Eastern Conference we didn't really think about? The Hornets. They've got the players. We were talking about who are their bigs. And honestly, they got some players.
Yeah.
It's like Michael Bridges is stepping up. PJ Washington's throwing down dunks. And that trio of shooters is doing their jobs. And they still got a backup point guard. I forget his name right now, but even he's killing it. So, like, I think there's somebody to mess with.
Yeah, they're no wizards. I mean, they're playing as a team and together. LaMelo is not trying to get triple doubles and lose. He's actually contributing. It seems like his coach has a spine and is only playing him in spurts and isn't letting him just run the team, which is also nice. And they're actually trying to win some games with Scary Terry there. And like we talked about, those bigs are coming out of nowhere and actually contributing. And it's not just, running, gun shooting and bricking and fancy passes and two-handed shots. Like there's a lot.
That shot's still
there's a lot more going on here.
That shot's still hideous. It's hideous. I can't. Who else's shot is hideous and is still working? Tyrese Halliburton.
Yes. Some local love. Like I did not like this pick at all. I felt like again the Kings go guard. Well,
they got to go back from their big years. So it's about balance, just like these milkshake IPAs. It's about balance, just a ton of one thing and then ignore the other stuff, then come back with a ton of the other stuff.
Yeah. Yes, Halliburton's been great off the bench, facilitating, scoring. He's exactly what they need. Like we talked about earlier, I like what the Kings are doing. I think their trade didn't work last year, but it's starting to pan out this year. It seems like they're finding their strides together it seems like the teams who we hoped for last year are playing better without practice than they are this year. And all those things that we were worried about as far as continuity seem to be working out for the younger teams and not so much for the veteran teams.
Yeah.
And I'm really excited for what the Kings are doing. They're hanging in games. They're not dominating anybody. Bagley can't seem to find – he's getting the minutes and he's just not doing anything with them. And he's looking – I'm not saying it was a bad decision to take him because Doncic doesn't work with Fox, but I get where they were going with that. But God, he just doesn't seem like he knows what to do.
It doesn't. Every time
Giles either.
Yeah.
Giles either.
He doesn't look like he belongs on the court, and it's been what 3 years now. Is this year 3 or is this year 2?
This is year 3.
God. Yeah, they just
be a defensive stalwart or something. Like do something, and he's just on the court standing there. Yes, he's not participating, not really being a good passer. Not it's really sad because I wanted them to be right so many times.
Yeah, and it's nice. The Kings are actually winning with defense a little bit too, which is a thing that they've never been good at for the last 15 years. So
no.
Seeing that is pretty nice.
No, and it came from the guard, right? From Buddy Hield, who I could tell you 10 things I don't like about the guy before something I do. And he stepped up and he made a mistake on one end, came back with a amazing block in their first game. and was able to
get that tip in.
Hit that tip in to win the game. Like all of those things, like he definitely stepped up, and I'm glad for it. I hope they don't trade him. I'd like them to trade Bagley, but I'm pretty sure you're just going to get a sack of potatoes.
What are you getting for that value? There's nothing there.
Absolutely nothing.
Who's looking at that guy going, yeah, he has nothing that's translated.
We can fix him.
Yeah. I mean, look, if you're a
somebody thinks they can fix him.
If you're a big body, you're going to get a chance. If he was a guard, he'd be out the league, but he's a center. So
yes,
he's going to get a chance.
Yeah, exactly. You can't teach height. Is that what they say?
Yeah. Yeah, the Knicks always down to buy somebody who shouldn't have money.
Yes.
So.
No, that's what I'm hoping for. Is maybe you can get a draft pick out of him. Maybe you can get some more bench help. But good Lord, that guy's a waste of space. And I know this is a quick reaction, but good Lord, they're winning more without him. And I thought that about Barnes, but Barnes is quickly found his role and is gelling with Fox perfectly.
Yeah. He's back to being a fourth person. He's just he's not a focal point.
Don't make him the guy. He's not that guy. He's your third best player at best.
Yeah, if he's if he's in your top three, you're in trouble. If he gets in your top four, you're like, yes, perfect. Let's do this.
So, he's going to make an incredible play for you now and then. Yeah. That's what I feel about Buddy Hield too. I don't want them to count on him. I like that Fox was elevating and being more assertive and dunking more. And I'm hoping to get into this more with some of our local brewers that love the Kings and talk about more in depth. But yeah, like I liked where Fox is going. Hopefully he can get a number two that is just money, a big guy who's actually really, really good. Bagley is just unfortunately not that guy. And he hasn't even tried to even really bulk up, which has kind of been really depressing as well. Yeah. They kind of need that. He doesn't have a shot. Like it's really bad.
Yeah, it's a bummer. And you mentioned that these young upstarts are doing really well so far because of the lack of preseason. And I think we all agree that in the preseason, people are like, oh, look at these guys in the preseason. They're going to be something to deal with in the regular season. And then it never actually comes to fruition for these young teams.
No.
Historically. No. So this first week and a half of basketball has been insane. And I think it's because there has been no preseason. Because it's basically the preseason right now. They're just like ironing out the kinks, been gone for a while.
Everybody's feeling everybody out.
Yeah. They're just working through like basic sets. So I wanted to go with you real quick through the standings. You tell me, is this a reality or is this a fantasy? We'll start on the Eastern Conference.
Oh, Freudian slip.
Sorry about that. Oof, edited.
That happened.
So the number one spot currently is the Philadelphia 76ers at 4-1.
I like it, believe it or not. I think that's another team that is young, respectively, even though they've probably been together 4 years. But if you think about how much Embiid was hurt and Simmons was hurt, that they're finally together, that I think with Tobias Harris and stuff, that I think this is for real, man. Like, I still think they're top 4 or 5. They're not number one, but they're definitely, they have that continuity that other teams don't necessarily have. Yeah. So I definitely believe in them, but yeah, they're probably should be 4th or 5th.
All right. And just to clarify, 4th or 5th in the East or in the NBA in general?
Oh, in the East, excuse me. Okay. Yes, in the Eastern Conference, I think they're number 1 right now. They're tied with 3 other people for first, which is Indiana, Orlando, which we'll talk about. And I think that, they're more in the middle of the pack. Yes.
And so I just want to point out, because I'm a nerd, I did go through everybody that got blown out by 20 points or more. And in those games, the 76ers are 2-1, and a combined, they're plus 20 in those games as far as outscoring the team. That means they're 2-0 on games less than 20 point blowouts, and then 2-1. So there's definitely like a problem.
Right.
But
it's not a finished solution. It's not a finish. Yeah, they're not finished.
I think it's reality. I think they're a top 3 team in the East. That's what I'll say.
Ooh. So we're saying Brooklyn, Boston, and then them?
I think so. Yeah, I think.
All right.
I think
All right.
we'll get to it. What's in front of me right now is not going to be the reality moving forward.
That's agreed. I agree with you on that.
So up next, number 2 on the Eastern Conference, it's the Indiana Pacers, also at 4-1. Is that reality or imagination?
God, I think that's imagination. Again, another young team, Oladipo, and those guys are healthy. And they're kind of still working out the kinks. It's the Eastern Conference too, so you have teams that we haven't even got to that haven't even won a game yet. I think one that I briefly spoke about. They are probably again a low seed, maybe 7th or 8th. But I wouldn't trust them. I don't trust them enough that there should be in the top 4 team. No, definitely not.
I love Sabonis. I don't think he's a triple-double machine. That is not sustainable. So to me, that's a mirage. That's imagination. Yeah, 7-8 seed, somewhere in there. That's more their speed. I mean, but it is the Pacers. They always seem to do better than you'd think. So maybe it's a 5, but
yes,
I'm guessing 7 or 8.
Yes, they do. There'll be a hard out. But I think, they're a piece away. Like Warren, who is he really? Is he the guy that's in the bubble? Is he the guy who just started the season? Like, if he ends up being like this guy all year long, like a full season, and he becomes like an MVP candidate with Oladipo, and Sabonis, then we were wrong. But they got to show it to us, right? Like, and I think so far they're a playoff team, but not a great playoff team.
And just for a quick reference, 1-0 in blowout games with a +20. All right, so just barely made it into that list. But I see on this thing they have a very robust 9.8 point differential, so that's pretty good. Okay, moving on. Number 3, Orlando Magic, 4-1. Reality or imagination?
Oh, my goodness! Like, of all the things, the Magic, I think it's it's ironic, but I feel like it's reality. Like, the Magic, I think, are better than most people think. Again, I think that they're in the Indiana Pacer range. They're 6 or 7. They'll probably be right up there. But they were a playoff team last year. They're pleasantly constructed. I feel like they stayed with their young core, and I think they'll be there in the end. Just because with the East, you never know. I mean, you're going to have Miami fall out. You're going to have Atlanta in the mix. Those are part of the young teams, and then you're going to have the terrible teams that have always been terrible. Chicago, I mean, besides the Jordan era, obviously, Chicago, New York. Those guys are going to be bad, so a lot of teams are going to beat up on them. So I think they're the 8th seed. We're talking 6th, 7th, they're 8th.
Okay. I think that they are fool's gold. I think it's imagination, although I do like that Markelle Fultz looks like he's having fun playing basketball again. The shot's coming back a little bit, but he looks like he's enjoying it.
He has a home. Yes.
That can continue to progress, so that could really change my opinion. But what I'm looking at is they're 4-1. That one loss, though, 24-point loss to the 76ers.
Yes.
And their point differential is +2 for the year.
The 76ers we feel like are for real.
Right.
So that's not as terrible of a loss. But, yes, I agree with you that you need to see more. But yes, I told you they're on the cusp of the 8th seed. I think they make it.
I think they're out, but we'll see what happens as they progress. And then in 4th place right now, it's we've been talking about them from the beginning. The Atlanta Hawks at 3-1.
Fool's gold. This is absolute fool's gold in my opinion. I don't think they have anything to be able to sustain this. There are a lot of flash. Mm-hmm. There are a lot of 3 points or 0 points after 4 games. I would have to say fool's gold. But again, another young up-and-coming team who could do something eventually, but I still feel like they need another piece, and I don't think it was getting Bogdan Bogdanovic. I don't think that was originally who they were after, was another shooter. I think they need some big guys that can score.
Yeah, this one's tough because it is the 4 seed. It's not some crazy high level, but their schedule has been super easy. Their one blowout, they're 1-0, beating the Bulls by exactly 20, so barely reaching my threshold of a 20-point blowout. So not really even anything to like even care about. But yeah, offensively, they seem to be doing really well against bad defenses, and defensively, they seem to be doing really poorly against bad offenses. So, yeah, it's...
Yes, exactly.
But I feel like the talent level is there for them to sustain it, not at a 4 seed, but maybe a 6. But it's entirely possible they fall entirely out of the playoffs picture entirely. So I'm going to tentatively say this is real with a lot of qualifiers.
Oh, wait a minute. This is real fool's gold, what you're trying to say.
It's like, well, it's a ring, okay? That's what I'll say.
Hey, that's what I told you they wouldn't make it. I told you they'd make it. Yeah. Like, let's see it now.
No, I think that their record.
You got to pick a side, but it is your game.
I think their record will be good, but I also understand that it could end up being completely disastrous, and I'm all completely wrong. And then this one's going to be a tough call for you. In the 5th place right now in the East, it's the Brooklyn Nets at 3-2. Real or imaginary?
Oh man, it's so tough. Kevin Durant is a phenom. He is as good as advertised. He's a front runner. I will say that, but he is damn good. Yes, the top 4, obviously. I think this is a little topsy-turvy, obviously. They shouldn't be 5th, but we have a long way to go in a short amount of time. And so, I feel like they'll end up 2nd or 1st in the division or in the conference, and they'll definitely be in the Eastern Conference Finals, I would assume, unless somebody gets a tragic injury. I think that they'll be there. They're deep. They did lose Dinwiddie for a season, so
which threw out
that
Harden
makes
trade.
It tough for them to get Harden.
Yeah,
I know that's because they need Harden now without Dinwiddie, but now they can't. They don't have enough to give away to make it work. So yeah, you're kind of screwed on that. But yeah, I think they still win most of their games, and they'll end up 1 or 2. So definitely reality.
Okay. Yeah. So I think, looking at my numbers, they're 2-0 in blowout games, beating the Warriors by 26 on opening night, and then trouncing the Celtics by 28. And the Celtics are, I think we're kind of alluding to, we think are a top 3 seed in that division. They've lost games when Kyrie forgot how to shoot and where Karis LeVert forgot how to shoot, and losing Spencer Dinwiddie's a hit, but 3-2 is an imaginary thing. They're way better than that, but they're the real deal. Send it.
Yes, they're good. They're not going anywhere.
And in the 6th seed, it's your guys, the Cleveland Cavaliers at 3-2. How are you feeling?
Oh, my heart. Again, this is my rule that's worked so far, as young teams seem to be gelling early on with lack of practice. Maybe it's because of the more free-flowing game at the beginning, and you haven't really gotten into tight situations. We'll kind of see how these veteran teams like the Lakers, the Clippers, all these teams start locking down or playing in the second half of the season. But right now, I would have to say with my heart, this is for real. But reality is no, this is not. They're going to fall off and probably be in the lottery sooner rather than later. The pieces just don't match. I think they're getting really lucky. I think their point differential is 2 points. It's they've gotten really, really lucky with their schedule. And, they're on the lower end for a team that's in the standings as far as the playoffs are concerned right now. They're one of the lower scoring teams per game. So yeah, I do not see this working out for them, unfortunately.
Yeah, you got Sivs on the top of the key in Garland and Sexton. They just can't defend. They seem to be sharing the ball okay. Larry Nance is doing Larry Nance things where he's like, he's solid, good enough. He might make some mistakes. He's never going to blow you away. But here's what I wanted to talk about. On the defensive side, Andre Drummond.
Oh, Drummond.
Leading the league in rebounds.
Oh, Jesus, yeah.
2.4 blocks.
Doubles.
2.4 blocks a game. 2.4 steals a game. Bill Simmons, I don't know if you know him, has that he has a thing called stocks, steals and blocks combined. And there's only been like one guy who's ever averaged 5 stocks a game. So that's combined steals and blocks. Drummond's at 4.8. Those are Hakeem Olajuwon numbers.
Oh,
that's Hakeem Olajuwon on that court for the Cavaliers right now.
No, he's playing great. He is carrying that team, and I think that he's perfect for Sexton. Again, like we talked about with Barnes kind of stepping up and everything and making Bagley void and useless. I feel like that's Kevin Love, and he has this huge contract that they can't get rid of. And he doesn't need to be on that team. He does not make that team better, but they're stuck with him. And that is just who he is. And that's why I feel like it's eventually going to be their downfall, is just they're not going to be able to get better unless somebody is willing to take that contract. Maybe Washington Wizards.
And he's not healthy either, but seems to be a good dude. He actually paid for a bunch of employees that lost their jobs during all this, which, I mean, to be fair, he shouldn't have been in a position to do that. That should be the owners doing that. But,
fantastic guy. He is just not a healthy basketball player right now. And he had his greatest years with LeBron there, and they utilized him perfectly. And, he used to have obviously like Tristan Thompson and other guys who could rebound. And he does have Drummond and to kind of alleviate that, but he just is not making shots and he can't stay healthy on the court. So
yeah.
It's unfortunate.
And also in our blowout games, the Cavs are 1-1 with a +4 differential, having beaten the 76ers by 24 points.
Yes, they're one loss from the Sixers.
But then they turned around and lost to the Pacers by 20. So
another matchup nightmare. Those guys, like, they all have really big physical centers.
They're quick,
and I think those are definitely old school teams. Yes, and so those are be interesting. But I feel like they're not going to be in, and I think there's a couple outskirt teams which we agree that are not in the playoffs right now that will be easily taking some of the spots.
And then coming in number 7, having won a buzzer beaten game. Like game of the year, day 1, Boston Celtics somehow only 3-2 in the 7th seed. Is that real or imaginary?
Oh, it's got to be imaginary. I mean, I think we agree. Like, they're going to work out the kinks. They're a veteran team, so they're probably coaches are letting the whole squad play, and we both agree that they're a top 4 team. We'll see if they make it. To that, but in this weird season, but I think if everything stays healthy and everything works out, they're in, and they're gonna be pretty exciting with those 2 forwards that they have. Man, geez, like if one's bad, the other one's great. Like it's just they're too good.
Yeah,
they're gonna be very scary to guard and scary to play against in the playoffs. I would not want to play them.
And they're 0-1 in the blowout range, losing 28 points to the Nets, which, I mean, when the Nets go nuclear, there's nothing you can do. So that's a fluke. You can't stop the Nets when they're all on fire. So to me, that means nothing. That loss is nothing. So, yeah, I think they're definitely...
Yes, I agree with you.
They're the real deal. This record is fake. They're going to be a lot better than what their record currently shows.
Yes, I agree with you. Their plus minus is really like, I think they're not, it's like a point. They're still working out stuff. I think they're way better than their record is. Yeah.
And honestly, when you lose by 28 points in a game and 5 games in, that's going to screw your differential real bad.
Obviously, yes.
Yeah, that's
but like you talked about, these zany blowouts, man, like they play a role and they kind of don't at the same time. I don't think they really tell us the truth about everybody, but then it gives you, I think, hope if you're a young team that's blown out a veteran team. But then also just take it with a grain of salt that they're probably not playing at 100% right now because they have 60 games to go in 68 days. There's going to be a lot of variance, but it's interesting. It's definitely interesting. This Eastern Conference is going to be quite topsy-turvy soon.
And then coming in at number 8, we got the Charlotte Hornets at 2-2, a +3 differential. We already know my opinion on this one. I think they're going to be solid. Phil, over to you. Charlotte Hornets, real or imaginary?
This is absolutely imaginary. You're out of your mind. You're sipping that Baller Brand. I see that Baller Brand shirt you're wearing. They are not what they say they are. We let them off the hook, as the late Dennis Green would say. No, I feel like they're not going to be there in the end. We have teams that are not in the top 8 right now, like we talked about: Miami, Milwaukee, Toronto. I feel like these teams are going to have a say. And if you had to put up your money right now with Charlotte or, Atlanta, I would have to say I take the latter, or the former. But we will have to see. But I do not think this is sustainable. And obviously they're just 2-2, so we don't really have enough sample size to know how good LaMelo actually is. But they're keeping them in the reins. Well, they're not letting him just take over the team.
Let me just say this: a whopping 4 games into the season, that's 1/20th of the way through the season, they've been blown out, which is a 20-point loss or win, 0 times. So they're steady.
They are
4 games.
They're steady 2-2.
4 games into the season. All right, the next team on this list, we've briefly touched on them. It's the Miami Heat at 2-2 with a very unhealthy -7-point differential. Is that real or imaginary? The finalists last year.
You can't say they're going to fall off completely. Yes, I think they make the playoffs. I don't think they win, but they're going to, again, they just played we're talking about 50 days, 2 months, 2.5 months. They just were playing for the championship. They are resting players. They are not trying to go full hard in the first 2 weeks or so. I think this is nothing. They will be definitely a 5 or 6 seed, and they will probably lose to the Nets in the first round, unfortunately.
Yeah, that would be a bummer. Yeah, I mean, they were shorthanded in those finals, playing their brains out, giving everything they had on that court, then had to come back 2 months later and be like, do it again. So yeah, they're just working their way back into not being exhausted. So yeah, this is imaginary. We're going to be better. It might take a little bit of time for them to kind of get their rotations in. That makes sense for everybody. But it's a long season, unless it's not, and because they've only got to have the schedule out just in case. But yeah, they're going to be there in the playoffs. Okay, moving on. And also, of course, I got to say, they are 0-1 in blowouts, having lost by 47 points to the Bucks.
Jesus. Yeah. Record-breaking day.
Yeah. And
record-breaking day.
Yeah.
But then again, they had nobody. Nobody's. No Butler, I don't think, in that game. They're just trying to hold it together, just trying to make it to 20 wins, just to make it interesting. But we'll see. We'll see. I like them though.
Yeah. All right, and then in the 10th seed, we've got the New York Knicks at 2-3, -4.4 differential. New York Knicks 2-3, 400 winning percentage. Is that real or is that imaginary, Phil?
That is real. I don't think they're gonna be good. I think this is where they're going to be. So I feel like they are not a great team. They're missing pieces. They have a lot of young players, so they're gonna be in it in the beginning, but they are not a good team. They don't score a lot of points. and it's going to get worse. They can't play defense and they don't score a lot of points is usually a recipe for disaster. And the fact that they've won 2 games out of 5 is also like a miracle in 2020 in itself. They should probably be closer to where we'll get to at the end of this is 0-5 or 0-4. But the Knicks are the Knicks, and they'll be in the lottery, I would assume.
Yep. Well, here's the problem with your argument. So the Knicks are actually 1-1 in blowout games, having beaten last year's Eastern Conference favorites, the Milwaukee Bucks, by 20 points.
I know.
And then they turned around and lost
to Milwaukee,
right after losing to the 76ers by 20 points. Yeah, that's a fluke. I think Giannis played like absolute garbage that game. I think just everybody besides Middleton played like trash against the Knicks. You know, because when you walk on the stage there on the court at Madison Square Garden, even when there's nobody there, it's an intimidating experience you've worked your whole life for. So as a person who's been a Eastern Conference Finals favorite for years on end, you definitely get intimidated by the completely empty Madison Square Garden. So I get it. I don't understand. I don't know how that happened, but it did.
Yeah, we haven't got to the Bucks, but I have a rant.
Oh boy, do we?
But the Knicks are who we thought they are. We'll see they'll just be wishing for the number 1 pick, and they don't even know who he is.
And then coming in at the 11th seed, we got the Chicago Bulls at 2-3 with a negative 5.8 differential. What do you think about these Bulls? Is that real or imaginary 2-3 record?
Oh, they kind of are where they are. Like, I feel like it's real. They're a young team. They don't have a star besides, I guess we talked about Levine. Yeah. I know you really like him.
As an offensive player,
you'll
not a
have your chance
player.
to defend him.
As a scorer, he's very good.
Defend his honor. But, I do not think he's great. Yes, I think he's a Harrison Barnes at best on a bad team.
No.
I feel like he
can find his own shot.
No, he can't. See, I feel like you can on a bad team. I don't think on a good team. He cannot create his own shot consistently. But yes, probably Harrison Barnes is a slap in the face. But he's an elevated version of him slightly. He's not great. He's like a dunker who can shoot a little bit. He'll have this game where you'll be like, oh, why is he just scored 40 something points? That's amazing. And a buzzer beater. And then the next game he scores 12. And then you're like, oh, well, what is he then? And, that's Zach LaVine. So, I think hopefully he'll get traded at some point and make another team better, and we'll see like who can do it. But, he might be like a diet milkshake IPA at this point. I don't know
Nice.
if I would trust those inflated stats of his at any given time. And so, yes, I feel like they're garbage. They'll be lottery. They're probably slightly better than the Knicks, but not much.
All right. And then up next, we got in the 12th spot. We've talked about them a little bit. The Milwaukee Bucks at 2-3 with a point differential of plus 10.8. Which is the best in the conference.
Unbelievable. I cannot stand this team. Like, I can't stand them. I'm sorry for all of this. I apologize, Milwaukee. Your team does not know what they want to do. They're the Tampa Bay Bucks of this year and Tom Brady. Like the middle of the road team that you're just waiting for them to take off, and then they just keep shooting themselves in the foot. They are not a good team as they are presently constructed. They shot themselves in the foot with the trade for Bogdanovich.
Yeah.
They shoot themselves in the foot by signing Giannis early. Like, he didn't even have to do it. It just seems like a weird thing. And now we have them at 2-3. Right now they're the 12th seed. Now, obviously, I feel like they make the playoffs, but they have the biggest differential because they blew somebody out by like 50 points and then proceeded to lose a buzzer beater after Giannis misses a free throw that would have tied the game, probably sent it into overtime. So I don't know what this team is. I'm very disappointed in them. I thought they would be a top 3 team, maybe top 4, but they probably make the playoffs, but what do you like? I'm thinking 5 or 6. Like they're not great.
Okay, so to me, they are a jigsaw puzzle without any of the outside pieces. It's all those ones with no corners. You're like, yeah, you can do this puzzle, but it's gonna be hard to get it finished.
Oh my god!
But
there's no way this. Ugh.
There's a reason this team is a regular season champ that slips in the playoffs, and I don't think they fixed it. And I think Bogdanovich would have been the key. And I've been yelled at on our Instagram and our Twitter that that's not the case and that I'm a fool. But, the game's bearing it out. So whatever. Actually, the Bucks are in the blowout games. They're actually 2-1 with a positive differential of 66 points. Beating the Warriors by 39. Beating the Heat.
Not saying much.
Beating the Heat by 47.
Not saying a lot either.
Yeah, and then losing to the Knicks by 20, as previously referenced. So, they have a weird way.
They're not good. Are they the milkshake IPA team? Are they because they want everybody to get on board, and everybody wants somebody different, but they just have no substance. They're just not bringing it consistently. They let you down every time.
Maybe they're, if we're going to do breweries, maybe they're like a Green Flash Alpine merger, Like, yeah, I enjoy those beers, but when someone's like, hey, bring me one of your favorite beers, you're not going to be like, oh, I can trust that everyone's going to love this Alpine Duet or whatever, or Green Flash West Coast.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Maybe they're, yeah. I don't want to throw Stone in there. But they're somewhere in that range of where you think they should be good, and then you try it.
You're like, that's good.
And then it's not.
That's good.
Yeah. Oh, you know who this is. This is, I'm throwing it out there. That's fine. It's me. I'm Phil Webster. You have my email. You can find me on here. New Belgium, Lips of Faith series. Oh. That's who these guys are.
Yes.
That's who these
moments
guys
of transcendence, and then things are like, why did I buy this?
Why? I keep falling for this, and they let me down Why does this horchata beer not taste good? Oh yeah, I did it again, didn't I? Just because I fell in love with Fat Tire 20 years ago.
Yeah, it's like, look, I love La Folie. Great beer, one of my favorite sours. Like Snow Day, wonderful winter beer. And I get excited when they're like,
accumulation.
Yeah, it's like, but then they're like, we're gonna work with G Love and Special Sauce. I'm like, that sounds incredible. Oh, this beer's kind of bland. Oh, they're working with Clutch. Yes, let's see that. Oh, it's not actually that good either. Like, you get excited, then you realize that you're being let down. It's like Dogfish Head or
Rogue. There we go. See, another
Rogue
one
Brewing
down.
up in Oregon.
Get him at comedian Ben Rice.
Get him at Barley and Me Pod. That's right. I'm going to take shots at all these people that haven't talked to me yet.
Go get him.
Yeah. But Rogue, I think, is also a pretty good example of that. Because there's ones that are so good you can.
Oh yes.
They take risks, which I guess the Bucks don't really do. They do the same thing over and over again. So I guess Rogue is out as a comparison because Rogue is inconsistent because they take big swings.
Just keep running their head into the wall.
Yeah, they're taking big swings. They're like, let's see if this works. And it's like, well, that Voodoo Donuts beer is the worst thing I've ever put in my mouth. But also that beer.
Oh, you know what? But let's try that Sriracha beer. Yeah. That sounds like a good idea. Let's go. Yeah. Like, people like Sriracha. People like beer. Let's do it. Yeah. No, don't. Stop. Why?
Moving on. Next one. At 1-3. In the basement, almost.
Told you I had a rant. I'm sorry.
It's fine. Toronto Raptors, 1-3. Point differential, negative 2.3. Toronto Raptors, nearly cellar dwellers. Is that real or imaginary, Phil?
Oh, my God. I'm actually worried here.
I am too.
I am thinking this is real. The hangover is just a year late. Like, they got their title, and Siakam's a great player. But they're losing pieces, which I don't blame them. Yeah. You have to move on from Ibaka. He's getting older. Yeah. Let the Clippers take all that money. Let them deal with that. But they might be out this year until they can get another, veteran defensive guy, like, because they gave away basically their entire front court.
Yeah.
Like their defensive rebounding front court, like they just gave it away. Like, and so they don't have anybody else to really replace those veterans yet. And so until they do, I'm afraid that I don't see them making it right now. Like, they need to make a move. We'll see if they do. But man, they're not great right now.
I know Marc Gasol's old and can barely move, but he's still a terrific anticipator on defense, so he can use limited speed. He's got it.
He's not going to carry you offensively, obviously.
But he's a hub. He's a hub. He's a guy you can go to pass out of the post.
He's a big guy who takes up space.
And he sets solid screens, throws good passes, decent shooter from the elbows. Like, he gives you enough, and it's underrated. I think watching the Raptors go to 1-3 and look lost is a testament to how much Marc Gasol's value really is. And it sucks. It's a bummer. I'd like to say that it's imaginary, but like you're saying, I mean, they're not going to be a 250 team. You know, they're not going to win 1-4. They're not going to win only 20 games, but they're not going to get to 500 playing this way. It's a bummer.
No, they're not. And that's what I'm saying. Like, I think this is where we start hitting kind of reality of these teams that we're going to talk about now. Is like, these are just not good teams, and it's unfortunate because they were so good, and again, they're inspiring because you like change in the NBA. You want parity, like just any sport, because it means your team's got a chance, and they gave people hope. But the guard is taken back over. The Lakers are great. Somebody in New York is good. Boston's good. Philadelphia, big cities are good. There's not a lot of small cities that are like really good right now. So, it's sad to see, but yeah, they're probably like a year out until they can get a couple more pieces.
And then tied up at the bottom, Detroit Pistons 0-4, negative 9.3 differential. The basketball version of the city of Detroit. Unfortunately, they are what they are.
Yes.
There's something in the water, and it's not pleasant.
Oh God, no! It is terrible. I feel bad. Your boy, the guy you would write songs about, Blake Griffin, just disappeared into a void in this place. I hope to God he gets out, because that guy was a decent player. He was a very, very good player. Like, that is just obscure now. Nobody even knows where he is. Like, me and you are probably the only people who know he's still on the Pistons.
I think he's hurt.
That is unfortunate. And
I'm not even sure if he's hurt. I'm just like, I think he's hurt.
No. I don't think he's hurt, but I think he just doesn't want to get hurt playing for this team. Like, I feel like that's a guy on the trading block too. Like, maybe that's who Milwaukee gets that makes them real. Like, I don't know how they do that. We would have to do research and do our trade finder, which maybe we could.
I get rid of Lopez for Blake.
Maybe we can get him on there to help. So it's just not Giannis dunking all the time. Maybe
give me Lopez and a bunch of ice for Blake's knees and Blake. I'll make that trade every day. I'll take that risk.
Not made out of Michigan water, though. Anything made out of Michigan
please
water.
Get your ice somewhere else. No. That was the most depressing evaluation we've ever done.
My God, that's pretty bad.
I was going to say, clearly I agree. Moving on, the team that we have talked about in the preseason, in the offseason.
Probably too much.
Washington Wizards, 0-5, negative 6.8 differential. By the way, the Pistons have not been blown out, I don't think, which is crazy. So good for them and keeping it at negative 10 points, but never getting to 20. But neither of the Wizards, also owners of 0-5, Russell Westbrook putting up triple doubles every other night, and empty calories.
Oh man, he is the definition. I am going to war with this. This is the guy I don't want to go to war with. Like, he will literally fight. You think Kevin Durant followed up my words? This guy, oh my God, like, he's doing everything he can, but they're the most emptiest of stats. This is what we talked about. How good is a guy on a bad team if he's getting triple doubles and he's DeMarcus Cousins? He's the God, like Chris Bosh, like maybe before in Toronto. Like Bosh was a great player and he was a great person, but there's no way like he should have gotten paid what he was getting paid, like to be on the Heat. It was just, they had to like make it seem like he was somehow 1C when it's like, dude, you're B3, like at best, like you're not that great. And, like it's unfortunate. I would take, again, Blake Griffin and a lot of other players over Russell Westbrook right now. He is just not, he doesn't help other people get better. He just gets stats, empty stats, and, shoots wildly.
Yeah.
Volume shooter, even at this age.
It's one of those things where I got to admit that maybe I was wrong. Historically, when Westbrook gets triple-double, the team wins way more often than they lose. Not happening in Washington. Beal looks lost. Bertrand can't hit the side of a barn. It's whew.
It's bad. It's bad.
I want to say I'm holding out hope that it's just a fluke of getting used to each other and Russ's style of play and like learning everybody's intricacies and what they want and need. But it's not looking great. So clearly we've been doing it a long time. We can't go do the Western Conference. We'll do that next time.
Yes.
We'll have more games. And it's like, that's a more fun conference to talk about anyway. So let's give them more time to breathe before we start talking about them. I do want to do a few things. We do have some segments we wanted to get on this podcast to kind of be recurring segments. I kind of want to do this one. Is it the Gueuze dunk of since last time we had an episode? It's a little NBA Jam reference. Is it the Gueuze? What was one of your favorite dunks of the week, Phil?
Oh, good Lord. Where do I begin? Giannis was playing great in the Warriors game. He had a ferocious dunk. I think it was on Oubre. Everything seems to be on Oubre lately. He cannot do anything correctly. He's in the wrong place at the wrong time. Constantly. It was ferocious. It reminded me again of everything I love about that team, and then also equally hate about that team, is that becomes who they are. And if him and Middleton aren't going, they have no chance, and they just flat out, like they just don't give enough effort and they end up getting blown out. But yes, they are, that was one of my favorites. That was my Gueuze, dunk of the week and a half, sir, as we've seen so far. We hope to get this on weekly eventually, but yeah, right now we are flying by the seat of our pants. Everything's going very quickly. I love Giannis. He's a ferocious dunker, obviously, and he's just going to get better.
I could do this. What's your dunk of the fortnight? Every 2 weeks. First of all, I'd like to point out that I was thinking about this topic, and I was like, I'm never going to name a LeBron dunk or a Giannis dunk because they're so powerful and nimble and quick that like there's not the finesse to it. It's all power. They're so quick. It's beautiful. They get so much into so little, but like you can't appreciate it on the level because it's so quick because they're just so incredibly.
It makes it effortless. Yes.
Yeah, it looks effortless when it's like that's an incredible feat. So I'm just gonna never name them. Just assume they probably had one of the best dunks of the week. Just assume it. We don't need to talk about it. I also want to point out that watching Kelly Oubre play basketball this year has been if you had told me this man had never played basketball in his life, I'd be like, yeah, it looks like that. That's what I'm seeing. Correct. Thank you. And to find out he's a veteran is depressing for everybody who didn't make the NBA but wanted to.
Oh my Lord. He has so much promise and just nothing's there. It's again where you feel like the trade is going to instantly help a team, like when they got Russell and everybody was like, oh, they're just going to take off where they left. The Warriors always make it work, and they knew it was garbage and couldn't wait to get rid of the guy. Like, I feel like this is the same thing. Wiggins is the same thing. They're realizing like they got really lucky with Curry and Clay and Draymond, and that it's not just a plug and play kind of thing. You have to have people who have that it factor, who care, do the little extras and want to just be a part of something, and it doesn't seem to be working out as well for them.
So for my dunk of the week, I'm a sucker for this stuff. And sorry he's out for a few weeks, but Ja Morant's self alley-oop, two-handed dunk.
That was pretty awesome.
That was, I mean, it looked like he wasn't sure what to do with the ball. Like, his body's all over the place when he throws it off the glass. He's like, am I shooting a layup? Am I alley-ooping to my buddy? Am I passing to the guy on my left? I guess I could just pass it to myself, which I had forgotten was legal in the game. I like, I don't think you're allowed to do that anymore. I think that was ruled
I haven't
illegal.
seen that since Tracy McGrady, basically, I think was the last time.
Oh, yeah, that was great. He rocketed it to himself.
Yes, he knew what he was doing the whole entire time.
Look at him go. And he's like, this is for the team.
I see what you did there.
But, yeah, that one, I mean, a joy. And also, if you're not watching the Spurs, just to watch Lonnie Walker dunk on fools.
Oh my God, yes. There's a really good basketball out there. Obviously, it's terrible basketball as well, with everything that's going on. Everybody's trying to find their footing. But if there's a time to get to know teams and players, this is the year, because a lot of teams are going to be playing all their players, all their bench players and stuff like that, to give people rest as they do this 72 game season, like I said, like in probably 80 or something days. So it's gonna be crazy, and a lot of people are gonna get rest, or a lot of people are gonna get a lot of playing time. So yeah, this is the time to start rooting for your team, because this is probably the year anything could happen more than any other year.
Yeah, because it's from the start. We'll see what happens with everybody. Yeah, we've got some other segments we'd like to do, but unfortunately we're out of time. Next time we will tackle the Western Conference. We'll talk about some more stuff. Have we compared a player to a beer really this episode yet?
We have not.
Oh boy, we should probably do that. I did have this one. Kelly Oubre, make him a beer.
Oh my, this is unfortunate. This is literally on the fly, people. I have not had time to think about this at all, and I can only think of really, really underwhelming beers at this moment.
You want a second? I'll do mine.
Yes. If you give me, yes, you go first.
All right. So to me, Kelly Oubre, and again, this isn't fair to you. I knew I was this is on my list. Kelly Oubre is a beer made by a first-time home brewer who didn't learn from anybody or read any books. Didn't do any research, just decided, I think I got it. I'm going to make beer. I've drunk beer. I can do this.
Yeah, I think like he's even one step over that. Like, I feel like he's the home brewer who starts his own brewery because he made one good IPA and then tries to do it on the system and make other beers, and he's just not good at it. Like, I think that's unfortunately where he is. Like, he has a team. He's in basically a Cadillac, and he should really be in the Toyota. Like, he's not ready. He's not ready for all that power, and maybe he never will be. This has probably ruined his career. Besides this podcast, he's pretty much trash.
Yeah. So it's like the guy who got third place at a homebrewing competition. Like, I'm good enough to start, coach. Start this up.
Yeah, exactly. Somebody give me $10,000. Yeah. That's it. That's all. Let's go.
My friends say they like it. I'm like, are you giving it to them for free? He's like, I'm giving it to them for free. It's like, so they don't really. If you charge them $6, will they pay you $6? Probably. No. You're fooling yourself.
It's alcohol.
No. I can't get anything back of trade value when I offer this to anybody.
They're like, are you sure you want this? And you're like, yes, we want it. Double down.
Yeah.
Okay.
Always want to end with the segment Canning Treys, 3 beers to be on the lookout for in your local market.
I do have at least 2 right now off the top of my noggin here that I really enjoyed during this winter season. Now, obviously, I know that this is the season. Things are going to change. But I really did love Grenergy, which I think was originally a triple IPA, but now it's turned into a double IPA by New Glory, which was very, very good. double dry hopped. It was very bright, wakes you up. It still packs a punch of flavor. Really, really, really enjoyed that.
Big fan.
And then from Crooked Lane, their 12 haze of Christmas was also phenomenal. Like phenomenal hazy IPA. Really, really, really enjoyed. I don't know, but I'm pretty sure I've already talked crazy about them and how great that they are. And I love that they're distributing throughout mostly Northern California, and you can get their beer, and they're fantastic. If you can get a hold of something, try it. Amazing.
Yep. And their head brewer and co-owner, Teresa Pasuti. She's also one of the co-hosts of The Session on the Brewing Network. So
that's
learn more about her over there. She's great. I love her to death. You know what's funny? I also have a Crooked Lane beer on my list. Just released the Hindsight is 2020 Hazy IPA. I haven't had it, but I want it. And so definitely you'll find that. They make great IPAs. So
yes,
that's
I
easy.
have them on the list. I want that. I'm waiting for my allotment to arrive at the store so I can grab it. Yeah, they're not even up and coming anymore. She's won a ton of awards.
Yeah.
They're
from year one.
Best brewery. Yes, they got best brewery, I feel like, last year.
Yeah.
They're like unbelievable. Can't say enough good things about them. They're great.
First year in gold medal at GABF. Like, come at me.
Get out of here, man.
And people will say I'm biased because I run comedy shows there that sell out all the time because people love that place so much, and I bring in good acts because they deserve them. But I'm not biased. Crooked Lane is a phenomenal brewery. It just happens that I like them as people as well because they're wonderful people and I want them to succeed. And I love talking about them and to them. What a terrible, terrible coincidence that is. So we've had a lot of IPAs on this list. So I was thinking we could each do 3. That way it's a Canning Treys for each of us. But I was thinking since you only have 2, I have a few. I think we can agree on the third one I'm going to give. But the second one I'm going to give is not an IPA. It's winter. It's stout time. It's time for you to win drink another award-winning beer. Hop Dogma's Venti is large.
Oh,
coffee
yes.
Stout.
Oh, man.
In cans for the first time. Delicious.
Yes. That is a great winter beer. Fantastic. Like, I mean, obviously, like, stouts are underrated. You can drink them all the time. You really should. They're fantastic beers. But yes, that is a fantastic beer to have. Nice, creamy,
Easy
chocolatey.
drinking. Oh.
It's easy drinking. Yeah, no bite. It's like, and it's in cans now.
Yeah.
You can share it with others. That's awesome.
Yeah, everything they make is outstanding. Great stuff. Check those guys out. And then I think we can agree that it may not be in cans. We're recording this on New Year's Day. If you're not already drinking this beer every year, you should be. It's the Anchor, our special ale. Merry Christmas, Happy New Year beer.
Yes, drink that. Yes, that is a staple, should be a staple in any avid beer drinker's house, is that celebration. Along those lines of these seasonal beers that just rock it out of the park are great every year. But yes, that Anchor Steam, who doesn't love that, especially if you can get it in a 3-liter.
Oh, yeah.
Like, just tear that thing apart, enjoy it. I've had many New Year's that I don't remember where those things got popped open. It was amazing and flavorful, and I don't regret it.
Yeah. Don't forget to follow us on social media, on Instagram at Please Dunk Responsibly, on Twitter at Please Dunk Pod, PLZ Dunk Pod. Email us questions, comments, concerns. You want us to compare a player to a beer? We'll do it. Just tell us. Please Dunk Responsibly at gmail.com. Slide in those GMs. Did I say GMs? Yeah, we're taking over GM work.
Yeah.
Get out of there, Maury.
We
know what we're doing. Don't listen to that thing where we said that the Westbrook trade was going to come out gangbusters for the Wizards and the Rockets were screwed. Don't pay attention to that. We are tremendous GM. We have the qualities.
Oh, we know exactly what we're talking about.
We know what we're talking about. Just because your coach can't make it work and the players can't make it work, that's not our fault. We did a great job.
No, it's not. Yeah, we put the pieces in place. You have to make it work, not us.
Yeah. If you want to talk about the system you need to use, we'll talk about it, but that's not really our place to be, although we could do it. So slide in those GMs.
Yes, please. Slide in those GMs or DMs.
You can also find us personally on mine. It's at Barley and Me Pod across social media. Where can they find you, Phil?
Culinary Lando on Instagram. Sports Chef Man on Twitter, excuse me. And yeah, anywhere else, like we love to hear from you. Anything you disagree, like we want to know where your team ranks and if you feel like they're a flop or they're for real, like let's know so we can have a debate. We love it.
Yeah. And while we're on it, if you're following Please Dunk Responsibly on social media, just so you know, Phil and I both have the logins, so it seems schizophrenic because we disagree about many things, and it's so fun. I love to see what's come up since the last time I was in there. I was like, what? Oh, there's a new story. What's this?
Yes, it's amazing. I love doing it to you because I know you see stuff as well as I do, and it's fun. It's our little thing. I like it.
Yeah. So that's the episode for this week. I'm Ben Rice.
I'm Phil Webster. Reminding you to please dunk responsibly.